So you have this like really brilliant idea. Maybe you've realized your neighborhood desperately needs a dedicated pet supply delivery service.
Oh, totally. Or, maybe you want to revolutionize how local independent pharmacies get critical prescriptions directly to patients' doors.
Exactly. You've got the logistics mapped out, your local market inside and out. But there is this one massive, really intimidating wall standing in your way. You are not a software developer.
Right. Not at all.
And you definitely do not want to spend the next 2 years and like hundreds of thousands of dollars learning to code an app from absolute scratch.
Which is honestly the exact moment most entrepreneurs open a browser, start searching for solutions, and discover the industry's favorite magic words.
The white label delivery app.
Yes, the white label delivery app. I mean, it sounds like the ultimate cheat code for launching a tech business.
It sounds like an absolute lifesaver. But as we are going to explore today, that cheat code is heavily booby-trapped. So welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, we are speaking directly to you, the business owner, the visionary who wants to get a delivery service off the ground without getting bogged down in, terminal screens and code repositories.
Yeah, nobody wants to deal with that if they don't have to.
Right. So we're pulling from this massive, recently published industry white paper that analyzes SaaS models versus source code ownership. And we're combining that with a series of, frankly, brutal developer postmortems.
Oh, they are brutal.
Just actual case studies of delivery startups that completely imploded because of the software they chose.
Yeah, it's wild. But just to set the baseline here for everyone, a white label delivery app is essentially a pre-built, ready-to-launch platform.
Basically software off the shelf.
Exactly. And according to the architecture diagrams in the white paper we reviewed, a truly complete package involves 3 distinct pieces of software that are all talking to each other.
Okay, so what are the 3 pieces?
So you have a customer app for ordering, a rider or driver app for the actual logistics, and then a central admin dashboard for you to basically run the show.
All right, the command center.
Yeah. And the white label aspect just means you take this existing infrastructure, you strip off the original developer's branding, and you apply your own name, your own logo, and, your own corporate colors.
It's basically the ultimate fake it till you make it tool, but, in a totally legitimate way.
Exactly.
And choosing one of these platforms is incredibly easy. I mean, a 10-second search will flood your screen with dozens of options, and they all boast these beautifully polished marketing pages.
Oh, they look amazing. They promise lightning-fast deployment, incredible features. But the postmortems we read paint a very different picture.
Yeah, a much darker picture.
Because beneath that glossy surface, vendors are often hiding severely limited customization, basically non-existent technical support, and this mountain of hidden fees that don't trigger until you are completely dependent on them.
Right. You buy into the marketing, you launch your service, and then like 3 months later, when the business demands just a slight pivot, you realize the software is effectively a straitjacket.
It's a complete trap.
So our mission today is to build you a defensive roadmap. We are looking at the essential, non-negotiable elements you have to interrogate a vendor about before you ever sign a contract.
Because you really need to dodge those catastrophic mistakes.
Exactly. We're going to help you find a technological foundation that doesn't just survive launch day, but, actually scales with your ambition over the next several years.
And that requires starting at the absolute bedrock, which is legal and technical ownership.
Yeah.
Because you cannot start painting the walls or picking out furniture until you actually know who holds the deed to the house.
Right. The foundation. So the first major hurdle the white paper highlights is this distinction between renting and owning. We're talking about whether the provider offers true ownership of the source code.
Yeah, and this is arguably the single most critical financial distinction a non-technical founder is going to make.
How so?
Well, when you're shopping for this software, you generally encounter 2 distinct business models. The first is a SaaS model, so software as a service. In this scenario, you pay a monthly subscription fee. The vendor keeps the servers running, they handle the hosting, but you never actually... The second model is a full source code license. This means they hand over the actual architectural blueprints. You own a copy of the code, you host it on your own servers, and you have the ultimate authority to modify it.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit, because a SaaS model sounds like leasing a car where the dealership locks the dashboard and you aren't even allowed to change the radio station.
That is a very accurate way to look at it.
But hold on, isn't a SaaS model vastly easier for a beginner? I mean, Why do I really need the actual complicated source code if my entire goal is just to deliver, like, hot pizzas from point A to point B? I don't want to become a tech mogul managing servers.
And that is exactly how they get you. The illusion of simplicity is a very effective sales tactic. A SaaS model feels incredibly easy on day one because, yeah, you don't have to worry about server maintenance or code repositories.
Right. It's all handled for you.
But if you look at those postmortems of the failed delivery apps, lacking that source code almost universally leads to this phenomenon called vendor lock-in.
Vendor lock-in.
Yeah. So let's follow your pizza delivery scenario. Your business is booming. You realize you need to implement, say, a highly specific tiered loyalty program, or perhaps you want to integrate the ordering app with a specialized local accounting software through an API.
Okay, let's pause there for a second because we hear API thrown around constantly in tech. For the non-developer listening, what is an API actually doing in this context?
Good question. Think of an API, an application programming interface, as like a digital translator sitting at a high-stakes UN summit.
Oh, like that.
Right, so you have your delivery app speaking one language and your accounting software speaking completely different code. The API is the messenger that allows them to pass data back and forth securely.
Okay, so it translates the data.
Exactly. It lets your app tell the accounting software, hey, a $20 pizza was just sold, update the ledger.
Got it. So I want to build this digital translator for my pizza business.
Well, if you are on a rented SaaS model, you cannot build it yourself. You have to submit a feature request to the vendor.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And if they decline, or, if they quote you $50,000 in a 6-month wait time, you have absolutely zero leverage. You're stuck.
Because you don't own the code.
Exactly. But if you own the source code, you have the freedom to hire an independent freelance developer, hand them the code, and just have them write that custom API integration over a weekend.
So without that foundational control, the moment you outgrow the SaaS platform's default features, you basically face a complete, agonizingly expensive migration to a new system. You lose all your operational momentum.
That's exactly what happens. It's devastating for startups.
So owning the code is essentially an insurance policy for future growth. And I guess that ties directly into the underlying tech stack itself, right? Because the white paper emphasizes that it's not just about owning the blueprints, it's about the materials used to build the house.
Yes.
Like, if you buy a house built with custom-shaped screws that only one hardware store in the entire world sells, and then that store goes out of business, you can never repair your own roof.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. The technology stack, which is the specific programming languages and frameworks used to write the app that dictates the software's performance, the maintenance costs, and ultimately, its lifespan.
So what should we be looking for?
The industry consensus heavily favors modern open source technologies with massive adoption. So for the mobile applications themselves, the recommendation is to look for frameworks like React Native or Flutter.
React Native or Flutter, okay.
And for the backend, so the server side, you want technologies like Node.js.
Why those specific names, though? Like, what makes Flutter or Node.js better than whatever a random developer learned, 10 years ago?
It really comes down to developer communities and operational mechanics. So React Native and Flutter are what we call cross-platform frameworks.
Meaning they work on everything.
Basically, yeah. Instead of hiring one developer to write an app specifically for iPhones and Swift, and then a completely different developer to write an app for Android and Kotlin, cross-platform frameworks allow a developer to write the code once.
Oh, wow. That sounds a lot cheaper.
It is. The framework acts like a universal translator, compiling that single code base into native applications for both Apple and Google simultaneously. It literally cuts your future development and debugging costs in half.
That is massive. And what about Node.js for the backend?
So Node.js is uniquely suited for delivery apps because of its asynchronous nature.
Asynchronous.
Yeah.
Meaning it doesn't wait in line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In a delivery app, you have drivers moving around in real time. The app has to process thousands of continuous GPS pings every single minute. Older backend languages process requests sequentially so, like a single checkout lane at a grocery store.
Right. And if someone is paying with a check, everyone else is just stuck waiting.
Exactly. If one process gets stuck, everything behind it waits. But Node.js processes requests asynchronously, meaning it handles multiple connections simultaneously without waiting for one to finish before starting the next.
Which keeps things from crashing.
Right. It prevents your live tracking map from just freezing during a really busy Friday night dinner rush.
Okay, so we've poured the concrete, we own the code, we know it's built on modern tech like React Native and Node.js that won't become obsolete in a year. Securing the foundation is step one. But the next massive hurdle is ensuring this generic white label software actually molds to the specific shape of your business workflows.
Yes, and this is where marketing departments really try to pull a fast one on buyers.
How so?
Well, vendors will loudly advertise that their platform is, 100% customizable. But when you actually get access to the dashboard, you discover that their definition of customization means you can upload a JPEG of your logo and change the primary checkout button from blue to green.
The ultimate generic template trap.
Exactly. True customization alters the fundamental workflow. Like, can you completely restructure the user interface? If your business relies on scheduled deliveries for weekly meal preps rather than on-demand delivery, can the app's internal logic handle forward-dated scheduling?
Or like, can it manage subscription orders for monthly pet food deliveries?
Exactly. And the white paper stresses that the platform has to support your specific architectural business model, specifically referencing single vendor setups versus multi-vendor marketplaces.
Okay, let's dive into that.
Well,
Single vendor versus multi-vendor.
right. Let's look at the database architecture. If you are starting a single restaurant, you only need a single vendor setup. The database just needs to know what food is on the menu and where it's going.
Simple enough.
But what happens in 3 years when you decide to invite other local restaurants onto your app to create, like, a localized competitor to Uber Eats?
Oh, I see.
If the underlying database was built solely for one vendor, it lacks the relational architecture to separate menus, track individual restaurant payouts, or route drivers to multiple pickup locations. And you cannot just flip a switch in the settings to fix that. You would literally have to tear down the entire database and rebuild it.
Okay, hold on. Let me push back on this need for constant future-proofing, right?
Yeah.
Say I am strictly starting a boutique flower delivery service. I curate high-end orchids, I deliver them to local offices. Why do I care right now if the app supports a sprawling multi-vendor grocery network? I mean, I'm selling orchids, not building Amazon.
No, it's a completely valid objection, and you definitely shouldn't pay premium prices on day one for massive enterprise features you aren't using.
Right.
However, you absolutely need to care about the underlying modularity of the code base.
Yeah.
Because businesses pivot. You start with high-end orchids, but next year you realize your corporate clients also want artisanal chocolates or, boutique candles from other local artisans included in the delivery.
Oh, so bringing in partners.
Exactly. Suddenly, your single vendor flower shop needs to accommodate inventory, separate tax rates, and individual payouts for 3 different partner vendors.
So the business evolved, and the software has to evolve with it.
Right. If the code base is flexible and modular from the beginning, expanding into new categories or opening up multiple locations is a matter of a configuration, not a ground-up rebuild. You want software that bends around your new ideas, not software that snaps when you try to stretch it in a new direction.
Okay, so we have a modern, flexible app. We own it. It perfectly matches our bespoke flower and chocolate delivery workflow. We launch. The marketing strategy does its job perfectly, and suddenly we are a massive hit.
Which is the dream, right?
It is the dream.
Yeah.
But it brings us to the most terrifying part of success, the reality check. What happens when the app gets hit with real-world demand?
This is where theory finally meets practice. It is relatively simple for a junior developer to build an app that runs flawlessly when there are like 12 people testing it.
Cool.
But what happens on Mother's Day when you have 5,000 customers repeatedly refreshing the app to track their floral deliveries at the exact same second?
Right, because testing an app with 50 orders is like test driving a sports car in an empty parking lot. I mean, it feels incredibly fast and smooth, but it tells you absolutely nothing about how the engine handles overheating in dead-stop rush hour traffic.
I love that analogy. It's so true. The reality of rush hour for an application really comes down to automatic cloud scaling.
Cloud scaling.
Yeah. Does the server architecture dynamically allocate more computational resources during a traffic spike? Or does it just bottleneck, freeze, and take your entire revenue stream offline?
Wait, how does a server automatically scale? I mean, does someone at AWS or Google physically run into a server room and plug in an extra hard drive the second my Mother's Day sale goes live?
No, it happens virtually. So modern cloud hosting platforms operate like vast pools of computational power. Think of your server capacity as an elastic band.
Okay, an elastic band.
You set up rules in your backend that say, if my current server hits 80% CPU usage, automatically spin up a duplicate virtual server to share the load.
Oh, that's clever.
Right. The system basically stretches to accommodate the 5,000 users by adding more virtual machines in real time.
Yeah.
Then when the Mother's Day rush ends at 8 p.m., the system automatically shrinks back down, spinning down those extra servers so you aren't paying for idle computing power at 3 a.m.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. But how does a buyer actually prove the vendor's app is capable of this? Because, let's be real, every single salesperson on the planet is going to look you right in the eye, smile, and promise that their platform scales beautifully.
Oh, 100%, which is why the white paper is very firm on this point regarding trust and verification.
Right.
Do not trust the polished marketing materials and completely ignore the cherry-picked testimonials the vendor features on their own homepage.
So you demand hard evidence.
You demand hard evidence. You ask the vendor for their load testing results.
Load testing.
Yeah, load testing is a simulated stress test where they artificially flood the system with tens of thousands of fake requests to document exactly where and how the system breaks. And on top of that, you ask to download and test live apps that are currently running on their platform right now.
Wait, so you just go to the App Store, download an app from a business they currently power, and see if the live tracking map stutters or if the checkout process crashes.
Exactly. You do your own field research, and you must ask for direct client references. Have an actual conversation with someone currently relying on the software to pay their mortgage.
That's a great idea.
And finally, seek out independent third-party review platforms like Clutch or G2. You aren't looking for comments about how pretty the user interface is. You are scanning for mentions of server downtime, how slowly they respond to critical bugs, and, hidden fees.
And that ties directly into post-launch support, doesn't it?
Mm.
Because bugs are an inevitable reality of software. Apple and Google are going to update iOS and Android systems, which inherently breaks older code. You need to know how the vendor handles the aftermath of a launch.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to clarify if you receive a dedicated account manager or if your business-stopping bug just gets tossed into a faceless ticketing system where it sits in a queue for 48 hours. This is where you have to ask about SLAs.
SLAs, service level agreements.
Exactly.
So what are the actual mechanics of an SLA for a delivery app? Like, what am I looking for in the contract?
So an SLA is a legally binding contractual guarantee regarding performance. The vendor might guarantee 99.9% server uptime, which is often referred to as the 3 nines, and they guarantee a human response to critical system failures within, say, 2 hours.
Okay, and if they fail?
If their servers go down and they fail to meet those mathematical metrics, the SLA dictates that they owe you financial compensation, usually in the form of service credits for your hosting costs. If a vendor refuses to put an SLA in writing, it is a glaring red flag that they do not trust their own infrastructure to stay online.
Wow. Okay, so we stress tested the app. We have our SLAs locked in. We are ready for the big leagues. Now we arrive at the final and often most painful trap highlighted in the case studies. The bottom line, the true price tag of launching this tech.
Yeah. Businesses just bleed out slowly here. The most dangerous illusion in the white label software industry is the initial setup quote.
Right.
A vendor will boldly advertise, launch your delivery app in 1 week for just $5,000.
And that $5,000 is nothing more than the bait on the hook.
It's totally bait. You have to demand an itemized list of what is included and, crucially, what costs extra.
But usually cost extra.
Well, that $5,000 might cover the basic customer ordering app and a rudimentary admin dashboard. But what about the rider app for your logistics team? What about the integration modules for payment gateways like Stripe or PayPal?
Oh, they charge extra for that.
Oh, yeah. Do they charge an extra fee just to compile the code and submit it to the Apple App Store on your behalf? Features that feel standard, like push notifications, live GPS routing through Google Maps APIs, or advanced sales analytics, they're frequently treated as premium add-ons.
Oh.
And that can instantly triple that initial $5,000 quote.
Which is why the white paper emphasizes calculating the total cost of ownership, or TCO, over a projected 2 to 3 year timeline. You have to forecast annual maintenance renewals, monthly cloud server hosting limits, and compliance updates for new consumer data privacy regulations.
Exactly.
But there was one specific metric in the postmortems that I found fascinating, and that is exit and data migration costs.
Ah, yes. The cost of leaving.
Right. And I have to push back on the psychology of this. Why in the world am I supposed to aggressively interrogate a vendor about the cost of leaving them before I even signed the initial contract?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels exactly like sitting down on a first date and demanding to negotiate the terms of a divorce.
I know. It feels incredibly cynical. But as a founder, pragmatism has to override optimism.
Fair enough.
Market conditions change and vendor business models shift. You might outgrow their infrastructure, or they might get acquired by a larger tech firm that immediately deprecates the specific features your delivery service relies on.
Well, that happens all the time.
It does. And if you do not understand the migration process up front, you can find yourself effectively held hostage by your own data.
So it isn't planning a divorce. It's signing a corporate prenup.
Yes. Knowing the technical feasibility of migrating your customer data is the only metric that lets you accurately compare two different providers.
Okay, give me an example.
Well, provider A might be $10,000 cheaper upfront, but they architect their databases using proprietary encrypted data blobs. So when you want to leave, extracting your customer order history costs $20,000 in custom engineering.
Ouch.
Right. But provider B might charge a premium on day one, but they offer open APIs and free one-click exports of all your data in universally readable CSV formats.
So provider B is actually much safer.
Exactly. Without a written, comprehensive 3-year TCO breakdown that includes the worst-case scenario of migrating away, you are basically guaranteeing a budget-breaking crisis in the future.
So what does this massive technical journey mean for you, the listener, the future delivery mogul? It means that building a digital business requires looking past the glossy sales pitch and adopting the mindset of a digital architect.
You really have to.
You have to secure true source code ownership so you aren't just a renter in your own digital house. You have to verify the tech stack relies on modern, cross-platform frameworks like React Native and asynchronous backends like Node.js. You must ensure the customization goes down to the database level to support your future pivots. You demand hard load testing proof for those peak holiday rush hours. And you get the unvarnished 3-year price tag in writing, explicitly including the cost of packing up your data and walking away.
Because choosing this software is never just an IT procurement task. It is the most foundational business investment you will make.
Wow.
This code base becomes the central nervous system of your entire operation. It dictates the exact friction of your customer's experience, the daily efficiency of your drivers, and the ultimate ceiling of your scalability.
It is the heartbeat of your enterprise. And we are living through this fascinating shift in the business landscape where non-technical founders wield immense power. You don't need to learn a programming language to build a massive tech company anymore. You can literally buy the infrastructure off the shelf.
It's an amazing time to be an entrepreneur.
It really is. You started this journey just wanting to deliver local pet supplies or prescriptions, looking for a shortcut to bypass years of software development. But based on everything we have explored today, the dangers of vendor lock-in, the trap of rigid database templates, and the hidden ransoms of proprietary data formats, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over as you evaluate your options. If the white label platform you purchase ends up dictating the way your daily operations must function, and if its hidden technical limitations actively restrict the future avenues of your expansion, are you really running your business, or is the software running you?
That is the question.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. You are now officially equipped to look right through those slick marketing pitches and build a scalable delivery empire on your own terms. We will catch you next time.